Getting rejected is one of the worst feelings someone can endure. Not only does all that tension, stress, and anxiety go away, but it's all part of a learning experience, and you also get that satisfaction that you tried and did the best you could. Now, I want to share my story of how I got rejected for my senior prom twice, and this all happened 5 years ago. FYI, the story that I'm about to share is already on Storybooth's YouTube channel. So for those of you who don't know about that channel, Storybooth, it's another YouTube channel where people from around the world share their stories and they get animated. My story got picked to be on their YouTube channel 4 years ago on this day actually, and that video has over 5 million views. If you want to go check it out, the link is in my description. Feel free to check it out. And by the way, I just want to clear the air that a lot of people in the comment section got triggered by when I said my backup was a sophomore who was prettier than the first girl. Let me just say that I'm entitled to my opinion, just as all of you are, and a lot of people thought that I was objectifying women and thought I was going after for looks. But that wasn't the case at all, and a lot of people took it the wrong way. Some of you who are watching right now are in high school, and prom season is coming up this month, next month, whatever the case may be. If you end up going to prom without a date or decide to not go at all, it's not the end of the world. Prom is all about you going to have a great time and to hang out with your friends. It's not all about tradition. Now, I did end up going to prom my senior year with a very good friend of mine, and I had a great time. Anyway, let's get right into the story. So, I graduated from high school 5 years ago. My graduating class was 127, and that was the biggest in 17 years. My high school was also very small. It was a total of 400 people, and it was conjoined with the middle school. So altogether, it was over 700 in total. And to say the least, my senior year of high school was a hit or miss. It was infused with so much toxicity and not a good time at all. Anyway, enough about that. My double rejection ended up happening the very last week of March. This first girl I wanted to ask was a junior. I would see her at a few house parties and we were just friendly with each other. So I thought she was a great choice to ask out to prom. Now, keep in mind, I also had a second choice in case the first girl said no. I went to CVS and I bought a few poster boards and I got to work making a promposal sign for this first girl. The next day when I go to school, people were already finding out about this. I didn't say a word about it, but people overheard. So before I can go to meet up with this girl and ask her to prom, my best friend comes up to me and he broke the news saying that people were just finding out about it and this girl actually ended up hearing about it and she was all iffy about it. So yeah, it did lower my confidence a little bit, but that didn't bother me too much because I also had a second choice in mind. After my friend told me everything, I went straight to my next class. Then I get a text message from this other guy in my grade and he told me that he's already planning on taking this girl out to prom. I didn't know that. He didn't do a promposal or anything, but I heard that he asked her before he did a promposal, which it's just so stupid that people ask somebody to go to prom and then they plan on a promposal. It just doesn't make any sense at all. Anyway, this guy was cool. I understood where he was coming from, so that didn't really bother me that much. At least he was cool about it. Now, after that guy texted me, I go to my next class, and the guy who texted me, his other friend was in my next class, which I wasn't on good terms with him. And he ends up coming to me when I was waiting to go to my next class, and he says, "Yo, you know this guy's already taken her, right?" And I told him, you don't need to remind me. I already got the message. So he was trying to make me feel bad about myself, and he was just a So that whole day, a lot of people were just hearing about it, and I didn't like it at all, but there was really nothing I can do about it. But a bunch of my friends were coming up to me, and they were supporting me, and just told me not to worry about it all. So this next girl I wanted to ask, she was a sophomore. We had the same gym class together, but the only problem was we barely talked to each other. But she seemed pretty cool, and I thought she was another good choice to ask. Now, some of you are going to say why I didn't ask anybody in my grade. Well, the thing about the girls in my grade is a lot of them were already in relationships, and the other halves just didn't have great personalities. So I didn't want to bother trying to ask any of them. Now for the next promposal. So it was a good thing that I brought extra poster boards the day before I asked the first girl I wanted to ask for prom. So I had a few extra poster boards at home, and I got straight to work making another promposal sign, and I got the help with one of my other best friends. The day before I wanted to ask the second girl out, a kid from her grade comes up to me during my lunch period, and he asked me, "Yo, is it true that I'm gonna ask this girl out to prom?" So I answered him nonchalantly, and I was like, "How do you even know about this?" And his response was immediately, you're gonna get dubbed. So after he told me that, I lost it. I told him to mind his business, and he didn't know what was gonna happen. After that kid came up to me, I just brushed it off, and I tried not to let him get to me the rest of the day. So during lunch, I was hanging out with a few of my other friends. That same kid that came up to me before, he ends up sitting across from me, and another friend of his was sitting right across, and he ends up telling that other kid exactly my plan. So that other kid just finds out what's gonna happen. He gets shocked, and then it all gets much better after that. The girl's best friend has the same lunch period as me. She ends up sitting with those two guys across from me, and she's just hearing about it. She's asking, like, what are you guys talking about? And the first kid that came up to me, he's like, it's some secret guy business. You don't need to know about it. And she's begging him to tell her what they were talking about. So he ends up giving in, and he tells her what my plan is. So mind you this, I'm sitting right across from them and witnessing what is happening right in front of my eyes. But they knew everything what was happening. So at that point, I just left and did the same thing, brushed it off and didn't let it get to me. After school that day, I ended up going to my best friend's house, and my best friend helped me make a promposal sign. The next day when I planned on asking her, this was during my senior cut day. That day I was so excited, and I thought nothing could go wrong. I had flowers, I had my poster, and my friend and I, we were driving my car, just blasting songs from the Red Hot Chili Peppers, just pumping me up. So we get to the parking lot of my gym class, and we're sitting there for maybe 10 minutes. My class gets out 5 minutes early, and I see a few people walking out. So that was my cue to wait in front of the gym doors and wait for the girl to come out and ask her for prom. This one guy comes out, sees me waiting, holding my poster and the flowers for this girl, and he asked me, oh, Anthony, who are you gonna ask? Before he can finish his sentence, he just freezes, and he was just in total shock because he knew something bad was going to happen. So he didn't say anything to me, and I was just like, okay, whatever. Then that kid sees my other friend waiting by the bench, and he talks to him for a little bit. So I see the two of them talking, and I didn't know what their conversation was about. Then another kid from my class walks out of the gym, and he asked me who I was going to ask to prom. So I said, it's a sophomore, and he's like, who? It's a surprise. Because I didn't want to get into full detail about it. And after I said that, he's like, good luck, bro, you got this. More people were starting to come out of the gym, and the anxiety was over the roof for me. My heart was pounding so fast, and a lot of people from my class, they were crowding around me. A lot of people were staying behind. You get the idea. Now with everyone crowded around me, this girl doesn't show up outside yet. But one of her friends is about to go to the locker room, and she sees me from inside, waiting outside, and she just starts pointing and laughing at me. And she just goes straight into the locker room. When I saw her laugh at me, yeah, it did make me feel bad about myself, but at that point, I didn't let it bother me, and I was just like, whatever. So a couple more minutes go by, and this girl doesn't show up. The first person that approached me, he goes to the doors of the gym and yells out this girl's name. Next thing I know, this girl ends up leaving through the back doors of the gym, having someone shield her so I wouldn't be able to approach her and ask her to prom. After she heads towards another direction, everyone that was around me abandons me, and I was left all alone. So after all that happens, my friend who was waiting for me tells me everything, and he told me that the first person that approached me goes to my friend, and he tells my friend that the girl that I wanted to ask didn't want to go to prom at all in general, and the fact that she's a sophomore, she didn't want to go too soon. Thinking about it at that time, it is understandable. So my friend that was waiting by the bench tells me everything that happens, and that just lowers my mood so much. I was upset. I didn't cry, but I was pretty upset. My mood went from 100 all the way to 0. My friend and I ended up leaving. I had the music really loud, and I just ended up lowering it so low. So after I dropped off my friend, he told me not to worry about it, and he said he was gonna come pick me up, and then we can do whatever we want, just hang out for the rest of the day. After I got back home, there was a huge dumpster waiting outside my house. My first initial thought was to throw away the flowers that I got for this girl, but then I decided not to because I would just be wasting money. So I decided to leave the flowers inside my kitchen for my mom. I go into my room in disbelief, just trying to process everything. Half an hour later, I get a DM from her saying, hey, I've been hearing that you were trying to ask me to prom. I'm really flattered, but I think it would be better if you asked a girl that you would know better and have more fun with. So after she said that, it took me a while to respond back, but when I responded to her, I understood her perspective, and I didn't mean to put her in an uncomfortable position. So after I responded, she responded back and she said, it's fine, don't worry about it. and then we just left it off at that. I didn't go back to school until Monday because the day after my senior cut day, there was no school. So I show up to school on Monday, and the entire school knew what happened. So people were talking behind my back, the classic stuff. So there was nothing I can do about it, and it was really like getting to my skin. I go to lunch with a few of my other friends. They knew about it, and they told me it's alright. They said at least I tried and everything. So they were supporting me. Now, this other kid in my grade, who I previously mentioned in my first half of the story, ends up being in the same lunch period as me, and he's hanging out with another group of guys. So during lunch, I was listening to music, hanging out with my friends. The song I was listening to just finished. After it stopped playing, I hear "No way" in the background. So it got to me for a bit, and then after I heard someone mention the girl's name that I wanted to ask to prom, then I already knew that they were talking about what happens. So this guy I wasn't on good terms with tells the person that told him everything to go up to me and to make fun of me. So after that guy told this other person to come up to me and just to give me for no reason, I overhear him say, "No, I'm not doing that." I overheard him say that I've already been through enough, and they didn't do anything after that. So it made me feel good hearing about that. So after I got rejected twice, I thought about not going to my senior prom after everything that just happened. Then I gave it some more thought, and I'm like, you know what? I'm definitely going to regret not going to my senior prom. And I ended up asking one of my best friend's sisters, and I had a great time. So yeah, that's my story of how I got rejected twice for my senior prom. You probably don't hear that many people sharing a story like this. Just a few parting words for you. If you asked somebody out recently or in the past and got rejected, let me just say that I'm proud of you for trying and just doing your best, because I was in the same exact position. It's all a learning experience, and it's okay if you get rejected. There's plenty of other good people out there, and just don't let one person discourage you. Okay, so this is the end of the video. I hope you all enjoyed that story that I shared and learned something from that. Don't forget to give this video a like for more content like this. Hit the bell for notifications whenever I post a new video. Subscribe to the channel if you're new. All my social media accounts are linked in the description below, so give me a follow if you want to connect with me. And other than that, I'll see you all in the next video. I'm out.